Excellency, can any country, including China, make a medicine for this coronavirus? Is this possible? Because this is a animal or birds, because the germs changes the shape.
This is they evolve.
Yes.
Yeah. This is some local media, a lot of Chinese media, they're talking right now is the fourth generation or something like that. Fourth, they're upgrading themselves.
It will evolve.
Evolving.
Yes, because nobody could make the medicine of the Congo.
Yeah, that is. That is because they are all.
Because this is the animal or birds disease.
Yeah, but there's one indication that when they evolve,
Yes.
they have.
Because it changes the shape.
Yeah, but they are, I should say, how to say, their functioning is decreasing. They are less affectable and less, this is a little becoming weaker and weaker. But this is right. But I believe that our wisdom, humanity, will finally overcome this kind of threat. So far, there are 4 medicines, and there are some Chinese herbs they are combining with that. But because this is a little very sensitive, we cannot say that this definitely it is. So even though some local doctors from Pakistan, they recommend some medication to us. We all send to our CDC, the Center of Disease Control, because they are also contributing us. Different doctors have different experience. Finally, I believe we will overcome it. Yeah, we definitely will win over it.
So we've seen the world, especially the Western world, being absolutely brutal towards China. This had all sorts of mean things. When we clearly saw that when Zika virus broke out in Brazil back then, no one really associated Zika virus with Brazilians. Similarly, same is the case with Ebola or Congo, you name it. So how do you view Pakistan's support towards China in these testing times?
I say Pakistan, this
last question is, how would you suggest Pakistan to cope with this virus? Because you must have heard about 2 cases having been identified yesterday in Pakistan, and both of those patients flew back from Iran. So how would you suggest Pakistan to cope with it? And what can Pakistan learn from China in this regard? How can Pakistan cope with it as you cope with it?
Yeah, this is very relevant. First, I have to thank Pakistan, the government, the nation, the people, the society, even the media. In fact, from the very beginning, you are giving us a great solidarity and encouragement. For example, your students in Wuhan, they are brave, frankly speaking. Your students, they are stranded in Wuhan because your government did not take them back as a group whole. But of course, individuals from other provinces are coming back. So there's totally about 739 students in Wuhan city. This is the most affected. They are separated one by one in a certain their own dormitories. They made that they cannot come out freely, or maybe only coming out for a kind of shopping or something. They of course, in this kind of situation, even I myself could be in panic. Yes. They are young. They have no experience. They are suddenly in a foreign country. So this kind of sacrifice, I should say. But I think most of them gave us the understanding because they think that, for example, we got these kind of messages from them that they but right now I think the semesters start by the online application, so they are more busy now. So but your president, your prime minister, and all the other your Senate, National Assembly all give us a kind of support. Second, from the very beginning, you also helped us, giving us some of the masks when China was most in short of it. But right now we have resumed our production. So I think Pakistan, we are very grateful under this. Second, how can China, lots of Pakistan learn from China, but learn from each other. I think that Pakistan, although you are right now, we have 2 cases, but I would like to say, as your health minister said, don't panic. That this is a curable disease. And right now we have accumulated enough experience in the medication against this disease. Second, we are accumulating more knowledge about how to deal with it. But if I could suggest, would suggest for Pakistan, because this is still is a challenge. So I would suggest is that less movement, less contact. Basically, it's because this is through the brand kind of this kind of infection channels. Be a little careful when you're out. For Pakistan and China, we are monitoring and we are trying to do more cooperation at this stage.
Excellency, I would like to ask two things based on the observations, and the conspiracy theories, quote unquote, in the market. One, some people say like it's the American biological warfare that was, that is a thing. It may be a matter of law. But the second theory is more disturbing, and that is Wuhan 400 project that was somewhere initiated in 1980s, and it is some sort of what we call like it's the impact of that Wuhan 400 project. These two theories are very popular and spreading in the media. And secondly, would you be able to find out what was the reason behind the spread of the virus? In the context of the theories, Secondly, what we see that Chinese government could not be able to cope up the challenges confronting in the pretext of the spread of the virus globally, because it could it damaged the entire economic activity and the impression of the China that we were seeing across the globe. And one supplement is that how long it would take to recover the economic activity in China. These are three things. Yes.
Regarding the conspiracy theories and how this kind of outbreak started or something like that, I think that because first, this is an unknown virus. We don't know what it is when it first came out. That is, I think, in early January. So different experts, they have the different reasons. Of course, we suspect or we doubt it comes from the wild animals, bears, pangolin or something. But this is not a Chinese tradition, that's to have these things. But there are some exotic foreign restaurants or something like that. Second is that there means 400 project.
Wuhan 400.
I don't know because Wuhan is famous for the virus. There's several research centers on these kind of virus things. So then they came out with a kind of theory that maybe this virus is man-made, artificially when you these things. But I think this is a kind of thing. First, who is suffering? Wuhan people. Why now? 2,700 people died. Most of them are Wuhan people, their own community. At least they are Chinese. So if that we are going to have this kind of conspiracy, that is we are killing our own people. So what is the purpose of that? Second, that because this is new, so we are trying our hard, very hard, trying to understand and find this whole chain of this virus outbreak. Right now, our focus, of course, is on controlling. But so this kind of either you are concerned about scientific research, then it is natural. But if you are developing a kind of accusation, a kind of defamation, then China is in a very poor position. But China, I think, for them, will remain the third country regarding the economy. The least thing, for example, this year, 2020, is a very crucial year. First, in this year, we will elevate the older poor people because this is our target. By the end of this year, we have to elevate the older poor people. poverty from China. Second, next year, 2021 will be the 100th anniversary of the Chinese Communist Party, and next year we will achieve a state we call a moderate welfare state. So this is should be the least expected by us. So I think that this kind of conspiracy theories, basically they are targeting China, using this kind of challenge and to giving some kind of unnecessary doubts or challenge to China, to the Chinese people. So we don't want to see at this stage when people are suffering, people are dying, let's focus on dealing with this challenge. Regarding the economy, I should say that we are also very much concerned because you know that no movement, and you see Wuhan is a province in the central part of China, but the following 10 most affected provinces like Canton, Shandong, Jiangsu, they are also the strongest economies of China. Why? Because the economically strong provinces, they have more labors, factories, movement of the people, and this. So they are also affected most. So we are very much concerned. So our understanding is that during the first quarter of this year, our economy could be affected, basically manufacturing and trade and this local consumption. But judging from the overall the whole year's plan, we are confident because in 2003, when this SARS happened in China, it lasted about 6 months from December to the next May. But if you look at the whole year's economic performance of China in 2003, we finally managed to achieve all the targets. So here, this time, we thought that today, our scientists say by the end of April, this issue will be finished. So, but this is scientist, his own assessment. But with the efforts of China and also the international community, we hopefully that because usually that this first quarter usually is the slowest growth quarter for China, because first Spring Festival. This Spring Festival we have long holidays. Second is the cold season in China. Usually cold seasons we can certainly our budget session, our parliamentary session usually is in March. Traditionally, this year we postponed in March. So in fact, most of the economic activities will come after March. So that is a little fortunate, if we say it's unfortunate, little fortunate, but I don't think that will be a bigger challenge for our overall economic performance.
Excellency, what are your comments on the behavior and support of international community to China to fight against the coronavirus?
Your
comments on the
comments
international
on
community?
global.
Yes, global.
I think that globally, and for China, for the first, I think most of the countries, they are dealing with this challenge in a very responsible and under the WHO's advisory, because WHO have their advisories on this. So I think that WHO is leading the global campaign against this, and China, I don't know, most of them. There are a small number of countries. They are creating panic. They are creating panic. They stop regular people contact, even that we have the older verification of the quarantine, but they cut short. They close the borders. They evacuated even some people not in this province from Wuhan, from Beijing, from Guangzhou, from everywhere. So that is, I think, is unnecessary, or we call the overreaction to that. Yeah, because I think at this stage, the most neutral or the most responsible advisories come from the WHO. So if you look their advice, that they say there's kind of limitation of trade, limitation of flights are not recommended. It's not necessary, but only that basically within a community, we should restrain from contacts. But in a global level, they don't recommend. So I say most countries, there are a few countries which are, I think, put their own interest over the global interest.
Excellency, what mechanism China has adopted to screen the goods, Chinese goods? Because China is a big exporter. Number two, why only China? SARS, Corona, and all that. Why only China?
No, this is, I think, first is goods, because we have a list also recognized by WHO. This kind of virus, how long they will exist on certain materials. For example, the longest period for this virus to exist is wood. Wood is 24 hours. All the others is that if you put kind of certain virus, there's all less than 20 hours. Even for in the air they can only last for 3 hours under this virus. So the goods is not possible, they call a vehicle of infection, because this virus basically they need a kind of I don't know that this kind of genie things related to the lung to survive and to prosper. So that the trade and goods, they are the least available. However, that because of the panic and this, there are some kind of concern about that the disease could be spread through the third vehicle or something. So I should say that this is right now is very much also concluded that trade should not be disturbed, because virus won't go through this non-human vehicle, something like that. Second is that the mechanism, China's mechanism. Now, in fact, right now our mechanism, others. I find this kind of virus is not only happening in China, because in history we have this H1N1 in the United States, 2009, more than 10,000. The fatality rate is almost 19%, but this disease is only 2.4 or 2.5% fatality. We have also Ebola also from Africa. So I think that this is a common challenge. It's not only in China, but why China this time is too much? First, because China adopted, I should say, unprecedented kind of measures. We locked down people. For example, Wuhan city, we have 11 million people. Everyone is locked at home. And starting from last week, we have one house, one by one search for all these suspects, because sometimes they reluctant to go to hospital because hospital could be dangerous. So we have a one house by house search for take all these symptoms. They have fever or cold, because we have the capacity of the accommodation. Second is that we start building these hospitals. Right now we have surplus hospital beds available for anyone. In the very beginning stage, we don't have enough hospitals. So for those suspects, they could not find a hospital to go. So the right now situation. So I think that this is should please say that is a routine challenge for the human beings. But each and every kind of challenge always help us to get one more knowledge and for the future better fit dealing with this kind of disease.
Sir, Excellency, first of all, I would like to ask the question about the panic. Because the Pakistan is a panic nation, today I was asking for the I was asking for the mask during the F11 markers, but I didn't find that here in Islamabad. Actually, we have reported 2 cases last night, one in Karachi and one in Islamabad. What is your message for the Pakistani nation? And the second question is, what is the impact of this coronavirus on the seafaring?
Yes. But you know what's the message? If I allow kind of message is same as your government, don't panic. That if we adopt the proper measures, that this kind of disease is not terrible. It's not terrible. First, as I said, it's curable. It's curable. Second, if such a kind of God forbid that if such a kind of spread really came to Pakistan, I think your government has a kind of plan and expertise to deal with. Certainly that China and other countries, WHO, I think they are all ready in dealing with this. Regarding the CPAC, I don't think it is a bigger, right now we have a little problem from the Chinese people, they could not come because they, but right now because the CPAC project, if we say that is about 24 projects, they are already functioning, basically they are functioning already and run by the Pakistani and the museums like the power plant, like the port, like, and the motorway, these things is easy because they don't need a lot of people to run that. So a little effect is for the next stage of the CPAC planning, because we were supposed to have the JWG, Joint Working Group on different 7 or 8 to have meetings in March. But right now, because the people-to-people delegation visits, it's a little difficult. So right now we change for a video conference. And we are having that in April, have the JCC, that is the umbrella body. Right now we are still following the situation, whether we should have the visits on both sides or that. I think that this is a kind of temporary effect on the progress. Generally, I don't see bigger problems.
Excellency, my question is this about being a Pakistan nation. We really appreciate the way the Chinese people are countering this disease. But the thing is that Pakistan has not much the medical standard to cope up with this disease. So we are looking forward for the vaccine facilitation center. Although the WHO already opens a lot of test centers, but these are only the test centers. But it takes a lot of time to counter that disease. So we are looking forward for the medical facilitation center from the Chinese. So how long it will take to give us, because as you know, when one person or 2 person get infected, so it get easily spread and it can anyone can be affected.
Well, I think that this is a medication, we call the medical cooperation. In fact, that we have already provided some of the, they call the PCR kits, which is using for diagnose this virus. We have already, so you have the capacity. It takes 3 hours to have the test.
But what about the vaccine?
Vaccine, because we are still developing. If we have to give you a kind of vaccine, it should be through the WHO, because it's individual, it is very, but you know that I said we have already 6 editions of our clinical treatment. All these 6 editions of clinical treatment, such a thick, some kind of materials that if a patient has this kind of symptom, what we treat it, how to isolate it, how to use what kind of antibiotics. We have they call the Chinese version of the manual. This is already we shared with all the countries, and especially with your NIH, with WHO. But if you say that it's a confirmed version by WHO, then it takes some time. We say maybe 2 or 3 weeks. But our own experience, our own medication, vaccine, or therapies have already all shared with in our through our CDC, Center of Disease. We are also sharing. And we are ready to do whatever you like, you need. And this is beyond, I think, consideration. We can do everything. But one more thing that I want to ask for, because this kind of challenge, when China is in difficulty, Pakistan gives help. But here I also want to share that when you are faced right now, you have another challenge with the locusts.
Yes.
So I can also release that our experts have completed their 3-day inspection in Sting. Today they have reached Balochistan to intercept that. Generally, this is a challenge which is can be dealt with. So the first donation of 50 tons of pesticide and spray materials will arrive next week in Karachi. And we have the second, so that from the material side, and there will be no problem. So we have arranged the special production, and the special aircraft is coming next week to Karachi. Second, we are having the aero, because basically you need drones and these small aircrafts to spray some things. So our our experts will be here and 3 days in Balochistan, another 2 more days in Punjab. So they will finish their inspection on the 4th of April of March, and our cooperation in this regard will come on the first week of March. And because this locust challenge, the major challenge will come in May or June. So we have every confidence in collaborating with your government to control it before this regeneration, or they have more small locusts before they come out. So today I also want to do that. This is also what we are doing now. So I think that this is a kind of testament of our mutual support, mutual assistance when both sides need each other.
Excellency, what is the time frame complete to CPEC projects in Pakistan?
There's no time frame. Because this, for example, we have the first stage. Basically, it's before this election, and right now we have the second stage of the CPEC. In 2017, both governments had a kind of midterm, that is 2017 to 2030. But I think CPEC basically is a framework for our mutual economic cooperation. We put all this. So in fact, it is more something like a concept that both governments focus on the resources on a mutually agreed project instead of certain. For example, the first stage of the by this end of this March, all the projects will be finished. But however, we started the industry cooperation, agricultural cooperation, social cooperation, and science and technology. They are less time-bounded. I think they are more, I should say, sometimes they are more expertise exchange, facilities establishment, and for example, joint ventures. So it could be, I think, it could not be time limited.
Before we call the session, I would like to request that since in CPAC there was also a cooperation agreement related to building hospitals or
Yes.
medical or something like that. What is the state? Because this is the right time that both countries can build some hospitals.
Yeah, because hospitals right now, because of the virus, but these hospitals have nothing to do. According to our social sector, they are going to donate 30 hospitals all over Pakistan, but donation basically is not a new hospital. It's that it's a kind of reinforcement of your current. For example, the next for Balochistan, we have the burn center for one of their local hospitals. For another in Sindh, I think, is called emergency center. That we only provide the capacity, the more equipment and machines and all this, and the training of the doctors and the nurses. Totally, we have 30 plans, but we are, because where to do, how to do, it depends on your government's suggestion. So we are still in contact. But I think in the maybe in the first half of this year, at least these hospitals like in Gawada, in Balochistan, in Sindh, we will finish.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Excellency. No,
Yeah,
but we have no problem.
It was